I got the perfect thing to do right now. I'm going to read from Tom Irving's book about Roy McMurtry. But I'm going to orient the car. There's 2 Canada geese here. Yo, dudes! Right here. There you go.
Will you and your friend come around?
Wonder if I can find it. Ah, yeah, here we go. Roy McMurtry. Other important people were soon there too, including Ontario's Solicitor General and Attorney General Roy McMurtry, the provincial minister responsible for emergency planning. He was chair of meetings of the Central Control Group. The public saw some of McMurtry, but it saw McCallion more. On one level, this was to be expected. When a crisis is centered on one city, the political head of that city is called into prominence. But McCallion did not hesitate to seize opportunities to take charge and to be seen doing it. She knew better than to meddle into technical or specialized decision-making, remembers then Fire Chief Gord Bentley. But when it came to articulating the interests of the city, she was front and center. Once, after conferencing with various senior officials in a trailer, McCallion had apparently seated herself closest to the door. Following the conference, she stepped out to address the waiting media hordes, but she stepped out only a little. The other bigwigs had to remain half inside, peering over the mayor's shoulder. It's one of the things where I'd said, and this is just intuitive and sort of observational, where I said that McCallion has incredible influence in at provincial level. In other words, it's likely that the Ontario Ombudsman hasn't got the range of authority that he does because of McCallion wouldn't want it. We know that the Mississauga councillors were satisfied that their input was not needed at the command post. On Monday, most of them showed up there and agreed, quote, that the mayor was the only person needed at the command post representing city interests. And then there's stuff about some injuries, including McCallion's famous twisted ankle. Talking about the third day, I'm scanning because what I'm really talking about here is McMurtry. And one of the things that I had mentioned, that Curling, being Minister of Municipal Affairs, is one of the reasons why the McMurtry Curling report completely avoids the issue of municipalities and certainly avoids any kind of, let's call it authentic, legitimate review of the roles of municipalities, using only public documents. But for good fortune to rebound on a leader, it must be seized. Machiavelli reminds us. No kidding. You want to talk about Machiavelli? So for good fortune to rebound on a leader, it must be seized. Machiavelli reminds us. McCallion had seized it. She was the very image of resolute determination, of decisiveness, of a spirited advocate for her city. So what they're saying is that the Mississauga train derailment was probably the best PR that McCallion ever had. It did take some posturing. There exists transcripts of the Central Control Group meetings held after the third day. They show McMurtry taking a consensus-building approach. They show McCallion determined that the coordinating group be kept small, with others brought in as needed. There's that control again of how a group is going to work, which I've seen and documented myself. Solicitor General and Attorney General Roy McMurtry. Now you'd think he'd be the one making the noises. Oh, no. She was determined as well that the people would not hear overly optimistic promises, but was also making it clear that she would be the main conduit between the decision makers and the people. I, as mayor, was a typical phrase. I, as mayor. She even referred to the others in the room as her advisors. And here's the part that tells me all I need to know. Had it not been for McMurtry's unassuming manner, a personality clash might have occurred. McMurtry's unassuming manner. So you've got someone who allowed himself to be outmaneuvered during the Mississauga train derailment, this unassuming manner. Maybe that's kind of code word for he was scared shitless of McCallion, who knows? But those are the authors of The Roots of Youth Violence. A former Minister of Municipal Affairs and a, what's it called? Unassuming manner, Roy McMurtry, who allowed McCallion to be the main conduit between the decision makers, of which he was numero uno, and the people of Ontario. Oh, and Mississauga. Now, I kind of stopped reading after this because at this point, I'm only about on page 105. That's about all I've read so far. Haven't read the rest of this. It's going to be quite the joy read. But just reading this part, oh man, it was like vindication. And to show how everybody's scared of her. And I remember it's a few months back saying what it says about our Ontario politicians, and especially the males in Ontario, our male politicians. I said, they got no balls. How can they let a little old lady so them? That they're so scared. Of course, I remember Donald Barber in the 2006 municipal election saying to the people in the audience, vote as if she were a man, not a woman.
So please get out and vote and judge her as you would a man and not just a little old lady.
And he got groans and a couple of boos and everything else. But Barber was right. I don't think had McCallion been a male that she would have lasted as long. But it's just that if you're a man and you look to be dumping on McCallion, you look like you're beating up on a little old lady. And in the meantime, she's, it's fantastic. It's like, it's not just that there's this perversion of municipal government in Mississauga, but also the terror, the terrorist in her that terrorizes the provincial politicians. And allow me this. Even in 1982, when former Mayor Ron Searle emerged to oppose her after the divisional court found that she had controlled a debate despite a conflict of interest, McCallion took 71% of the vote. Again, because people vote with their wallets. Let's face it. That's a Nando Yanika's observation. Since then, she has released no campaign platform, and since 1991, she has mounted no campaign whatsoever. Quote, "Her Town, Her Rules" is the title of one magazine article about McCallion. It summarizes well the prevailing perception in Mississauga. Her town, her rules. And not just Mississauga. Quote, "The truth is, she's the only person in the province that scares the bejesus out of me," mused former Premier David Peterson. He is not alone. This book, it's like all this perfect stuff has come together, and it was a signal to me, you can stop now. You can start going to your videotapes, pulling out what the councillors and the mayor have said. It's time now for your own words, pulling that back and letting the politicians and the staff talk. And that's such a relief. Let's drive through Roy McMurtry Youth Centre. And his unassuming manner. Huge parking lot. I feel like Kunta Kinte, you know, in Roots. I have found the roots of youth violence.
All the panels I sit on, the first question is asked, where are the young people? We're talking about them, but they're not with us. Young people are very frustrated because there's a lot of panels. Oh, there's reports that are written about how much money we're going to spend. And they're very frustrated with the system right now.